And we are not live. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in to this latest live stream here with me, Peter Sweden, and my special guest today, Barbara4u2c. She joins me today from America, and I'll leave all her links in the description below so you can find her as well. So thank you so much for joining me, Barbara.
Thank you for having me.
Excellent. I thought we could just kick this off. I thought I wanted to talk about feminism and mass migration, open borders, and Sweden and so on. Why don't you just start by, if anyone doesn't know you, tell my audience who you are and how you got started on YouTube, because you're quite a big YouTuber. You're bigger than me, so.
Well, I originally started YouTube 10 years ago, 11 years ago, but it was just skits and stuff like that, just like talking about things that pissed me off. So, I try to bring in humor. And I talked a lot about Slovenia as well. I created this series that was quite popular, basic Slovene phrases, which they are anything but basic. And I created, I think, about like 8 or 9 episodes of those. And then I just kind of, every year I expand what I cover even more. And then 2 years ago, I started more into politics. And then like a year ago, I started covering immigration a lot, especially in Europe. And it wasn't until 2016 that my channel blew up. And pretty much everything happened in the past 2 years. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's not easy to get big on YouTube, and you're definitely done very good.
Yay!
Yeah, no, excellent. I've seen you've been talking a lot about because you're from Slovenia, and you moved from Slovenia to America. Why did you move? Is that anything you want to tell us?
I moved in 2015, and I pretty much, ever since I was little, I always wanted to go to school here. I got my degree, I got my high school degree back home, and I got my university degree back home in literature. But then afterwards, I wanted to also study performing arts. And it was always like this area and these schools over here seemed like they could offer the best education and give me the best tools to apply that. So, I was saving up money for pretty much almost a decade to come here, and then auditioned for the school, and then got accepted. So I graduated in May last year, which is pretty much the reason, why I came here, is for education.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, a lot of people, I know a lot of people in Sweden as well talk about wanting to go to America to go to college or university. So I know that's quite American universities are quite well known, I think, for having good education.
Yeah.
At least it beats, and I know some English colleges have that as well, but I don't know if anyone wants to go to the UK anymore.
It was before I moved here, like before 2015, things weren't that bad. And everybody was just like, oh, just go to London, go to London. And I know so many friends who just moved to London. And then Brexit happened, and everybody was like, what am I going to do? And then now nobody asks me, well, just go to London. Because everybody's like, yeah, don't go to London. Don't. Just stay there.
Yeah. Well, the big problem in the UK now, it really is free speech, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous, the 1984 stuff going on over there. I've actually had to leave the UK myself due to this. I actually had I don't know if you heard my story about that, but I had a police come and give me an official warning for hate speech because I had an argument with someone, or debate really, about religion, and that person took offense and reported me to the police.
Which religion?
Well, she was actually she actually called herself a Christian, but it's really strange. I'm a Christian myself, and we had an argument about Christianity and a debate. It was really strange. Somehow she took offense. She is quite SJW, and the police came and they're like, "Oh, this is really serious. This is hate speech, hate crime, blah 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 blah." And I'm like, "No, if you." And I tried to explain to police, yes, I'm sorry, but just because someone takes offense to something, that isn't hate speech. And he's like, no, the official definition of hate speech is if someone takes offense to something, then that is hate speech. And to my shock, I looked up on the police website and she was correct. The police officer was correct. In the UK, the official definition, if someone takes offense of something you say or do, it doesn't have to be the person you talk with, just someone passing by who sees it. If they take offense to it, then it is hate speech, period. That is the definition.
Yeah, I saw the law on their official website, and at first I thought it was a troll website, but then I was like, no, it's official. Like, what? This is this is no law. What kind of law is this? So weird.
It's really strange. It was actually today on the Daily Mail. The police are threatening to arrest people who mocked them on Facebook. They had arrested someone who had a little bit of cannabis on them, and people on Facebook were like mocking them on the page because they were boasting about arresting this guy. And now the police are threatening to arrest everyone who mocks them on Facebook. I mean, you have to be allowed to criticize the police. I mean, the government, in a democracy. But yeah, the state of the UK is bad. It's worse than Sweden when it comes to free speech.
Germany is getting pretty close to that too.
Yeah, I mean, how is Slovenia? I mean, because the Eastern European countries seem quite good. Because you're from Slovenia, how is it over there?
Well, it is. Slovenia is still a very small country, so I don't think we get influenced to a certain degree by everything, but it's not nearly as bad as like surrounding countries. And pretty much because it's a small country, nobody wanted to stay there. So when it was the biggest wave of immigration, it was for 2 months. There was just like giant snakes of people just migrating through the country, leaving trash behind, and then moving on to Germany. Because everybody was like, Slovenia, we don't want to stay here. And I was like, yeah, and it was just like they were openly mocking Slovenia and everything. And I was just listening when I was reading up on this stuff and watching videos when they were like being interviewed, how Slovenia is so poor. Why would somebody stay here? And I was just like, dude, these people helped you. They put up a camp for you. And they actually set one of the camp they set on fire because it wasn't good enough, the entire camp. And I was just like, what is wrong with you people? These are literally, like, Slovenia is so poor already. Like, they are spending so much money to make you feel comfortable, and then you do nah. So pretty much nobody wanted to stay there.
So basically you guys were they didn't like you were too poor. They want to go to rich Sweden and Germany.
Yeah, they just wanted to go through Slovenia because it's easier because no borders.
But I thought they were fleeing war and fleeing persecution.
I know, right? I know, man. Like, I feel bad for those who are actually coming here with good intentions, because they are the ones who are paying for the majorities of mistakes. But if you ask the majority, they're just economic migrants, and that's just all they are.
I would say that most of them are economic migrants. I have done quite a bit of work into this. I actually went to Sicily last year to report on the migrant crisis, and I met some migrants who had just come from Libya, and they told me, I asked them why they want to come. They told me they want to come to Sweden, and I asked them why, and they said the money. And guess how they got there? I mean, it's basically what they do is they are in Africa. I think these people are from Nigeria, the ones I interviewed, and they pay money to these human traffickers, who then bring them up to the Libyan coast, and they put them on a little dingy boat, the rubber boat. Put them out a couple of kilometers out in the sea. The boat sinks, or it's not very seaworthy. And then you have these NGO ships funded by George Soros and those kind of people.
I made a video about that too.
And then they just come down there to the coast of Libya, pick them up, and bring them right up to Sicily and drop them off and put them on. And they have other NGOs like Oxfam, which is funded by the British government as well. And they are there helping them. They give them everything they need. I actually went undercover with them to kind of find out. And they had leaflets they were giving out with the information about the trains leaving Sicily up to Northern Europe, how much train tickets cost and everything. I actually have a leaflet right here in my room somewhere. it's incredible how they really help these guys. I mean, it's really incredible.
Yeah, and I've heard like I've read some coverage on this, like the whole Mediterranean Sea crossing, like Libya and Italy. Apparently, there's a trade going on with like the traffickers and the government, that they both make money off of each other. You know, the poor people, those people who are promised probably a Narnia once they cross that Mediterranean Sea, will pay up to like 5,000 or even more euros. And then the two parties split. They put those people in boats in like terrible conditions and know that somebody is going to pick them up eventually, you know? So it's I've seen how I've been to Italy before, like a few times. It's my neighbor country, you know, so it's very easy to travel to your neighbor countries when your country is small. And I've seen how much it changed based on pictures. And then everybody who's telling me that this is fake news and there's nothing to worry about, I've seen it and I see how it's now. It's so different. It's scary. It's terrifying.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting to see how, because that is the thing I wanted to talk a little bit about. I mean, what is your thoughts on mass migration, and especially what the West is doing here? I mean, what's your thoughts on it? Why do you think this is happening?
Dear Angela Merkel kind of screwed up the most, if you ask me. I think she's the blame the most. What is happening is, actually, just simply put, is blowing my mind. In 2 years, in less than 3 years, so much has changed, and it feels like when I left Europe in 2015, it was before this, you know, the peak of mass immigration, and I feel like it just like time kind of stopped, and now I'm 30 years later and I'm looking at the pictures of my home, on my homeland, on my neighbor countries, and everything has changed. And I feel like I've been gone for, you know, 2 or 3 decades because of how fast things are going. I think it's really dangerous because they are literally some of the areas in France, and that's why I'm even covering each country individually. Some areas in France are completely Muslim dominated. You know, they are under Sharia law. Like, police doesn't really have a lot of say over there. Or if you look at Italy, all these countries, Italy, Sweden, Germany, they're all in massive debt over it. And there are homeless people on the streets and veterans and old people who need help and money, but they will not get it because the newcomers are always prioritized. And it feels like the governments are completely forgetting their citizens. They are just, you know, trying to save whoever new has come to the country because we don't want to be seen as homophobes and xenophobes and Islamophobes and all the rest of the phobes. It's like, dude, it's not the way country works. And it pisses me off when people are like, well, yeah, well, then the first world countries shouldn't, you know, make war in those countries. Oh, okay, so because of that, the entire Europe has to pay? Are you kidding me? What? No. And it's always the first world countries that are expected to take in people, you know? It is never, you know, nobody is going to look at those countries who are already poor. No. It's always going to be like Germany, UK, Sweden, France, and Italy. Those have to take everybody in.
Yes, that's what it seems like. But I mean, there is a few countries. Well, there's actually, I'm going to say Denmark and Norway are probably one of the two Western European countries that are more opposed to mass migration. They're kind of more traditional conservative, especially Norway, where I'm at now. Actually, I came out with statistics here in Norway just recently where it said that 50%, I think it was, of 50% of all people receiving welfare benefits are actually migrants, despite them only making out, I can't remember the exact figure how much they make out of the population, but it's like quite a small, like 5-10% or something. But they take 50% of the welfare benefits, and they kind of don't like that in Norway. They're much more open about the effects of mass migration in Norway than in Sweden, definitely. They even use, in Norway, they even use Sweden as a example of what not to do. So, yeah, it's definitely much better in Norway than in Sweden. And when it comes to migration, and one thing I find really funny is you do a lot. I see you do a lot of videos about feminism as well. And what do you think? Why do you think feminists are one of the first people to want to increase migration when a lot of statistics show that migration might not really be that good for women? Why do you think that is? It's a hard question. It's really hard to understand their logic, really. I mean, I can't really see the logic myself.
It is. It could come from the fact that I know that like a party in Sweden, Feminist Initiative or something.
Oh no! Oh, don't even mention them.
Yeah, it's for like complete open borders and zero deportation, yada yada yada. And I don't. Maybe there is a reasonable explanation, but I think it's just the fact that they try so hard to appear equal and human and kind and open-hearted that they try extra hard to make it seem that if you say zero deportations, no closed borders, that it just make you look like a better person, so you're easier to push your other agenda to. I don't know. That's my explanation.
Something, yeah. I mean, did you know that the woman who founded the Feminist Initiative party, have you seen her?
Which, the one that founded or the one that is
the one that founded the party?
I think I have.
I'll bring up a picture here on screen if you want to see, if you want to see some cringe. Just let me see here. Here we go. This is the person. Let me see if I can make up a bigger picture here.
Yeah, I've read about her already. Yeah.
This woman. Yeah, she is the one who founded the Feminist Initiative party. She was actually the leader of. She was actually the leader of the Communist Party in Sweden before. Back in the 90s, 80s, I think it was. She was the leader of the Communist Party. And the Communist Party later, they changed name from the Communist Party to just the Left Party. And they're still quite big. They get like 10% of the votes in Sweden. But then she started her own party. So, yeah, this is what we have to deal with in Sweden, these kind of people. It's just too much.
I know. It's like when I cover countries, it was like material for like at least 3 or 4 videos, Sweden and Germany. And even though I covered Germany like 3 times so far, I did 3 videos on Sweden. I still have about this many bookmarks for each country to make probably like part 6 and 7 and 8 and 9. And every time I go to like pages, there's either Germany or Sweden, that something new pops up. And each time it's just like, how?
It boggles the mind, really. It's because it's actually quite interesting. The mainstream media in Sweden has been very good at censoring information about migration and so on, but actually recently, and that's why I've been doing the work that I've been doing, reporting on stuff that they don't want to report on. But recently, I don't know if it's due to public pressure, really. More and more people are beginning to understand something is wrong, because largely thanks to alternative media and independent journalists talking about things that the mainstream media doesn't want to. So recently, actually, the mainstream media did a research, and it showed that 88% of convicted gang rapists in Sweden are actually born outside of Europe. 23% are actually from Afghanistan. And yet the feminist the Swedish government calls itself the world's first feminist government, and they just recently gave amnesty to 9,000 Afghan asylum seekers who are supposed to be deported, but they get to stay anyway, and they get free college now to a cost of $343 million on taxpayers' money. All the while, this statistic shows that 23% of convicted gang rapists are actually from Afghanistan. So why on earth are these feminist people letting these 9,000 Afghans stay in Sweden. It doesn't make any sense. It just...
Yeah, it doesn't make sense how feminism stops when suddenly the truth is being spoken. You know, they're going to complain about mansplaining, and other pink tax and other, you know, fairy tales and fairyland unicorn rainbow stuff. But when it comes to hard truth and reality and something that is actually happening to people, which, you know, has been happening, especially in Germany and Sweden. You know, I've seen festivals are getting canceled, or they are becoming women only, or like spots are becoming women only because of like how much is the increase of sexual violence. And feminists are usually the one who are always saying, oh, believe the victim, always believe women never lie, women never lie. But when it comes to European women being in the hands of these migrants, and these rapes are very, very different from other rapes. They are brutal. They end up usually in death or torture or some stuff. They are instantly just like, no, don't want to hear about it. You bigot, you're Islamophobe, you're xenophobe. Oh my God, you're so racist. And I'm just like, how are you? You're literally contradicting yourself constantly. And it's always like, you're never allowed to be a nationalist and proud of your country or religion unless it's Islam. If it's Islam, then good for you, hijab.
Yes, that is the thing I don't understand about feminism. They don't have any logic. And
yeah.
that is the thing. Do you think there's any difference between... there's been a lot of debate between first wave, second wave, and third wave feminism and so on. And of course, there's difference between them. What's your thoughts on that first wave, second wave, third wave?
I think it started off as an honest idea with the first wave. Some of the information is, of course, incorrect. That, for example, voting rights and stuff like that, you know, women were allowed to vote. Like back in the day, it was mainly based on wealth and financial situations. So if a woman had enough wealth, she was able to vote. So it wasn't like women were never allowed to vote, you know. But, you know, the majority still didn't have rights and privileges. So it started off as an honest thing. And, you know, there was still a lot of racism within the whole first movement. But I guess it was necessary. But then second wave, I think second wave is what changed everything in the 60s, and which is still responsible for the situation now. And I blame Gloria Steinem for it. It was just literally attack on men, attack on one specific gender. And the second wave started off out of nowhere and became a thing. Suddenly everybody was like oppressed because they are married, oppressed because they are mothers, oppressed because they have children. And it just escalated to the third wave. And I think we are at the fourth one already with the blue hair on the armpit, or I don't even know, Ken, they stopped counting. But yeah, I think the second and the third and ever since is just a bunch of complaining and whining and looking for problems where there isn't any. And let me tell you, if people actually struggle this much, none of them would be talking about how oppressed they are because they don't want to shave their armpits. Just don't shave them. Who gives a shit, you know? So I don't think feminism is necessary in first world countries anymore. It's funny then modern feminism doesn't talk about what's happening in Saudi Arabia and those countries, you know, that is not being talked about because it's, again, a dangerous territory, and they will never fight for those women who still, you know, need their help. So yeah, that's my philosophy on that.
Yeah, no, I definitely have to think myself. I'm a little bit. I definitely think that the second and third wave has been completely crazy, as you said. I haven't done too much research into the first wave. I think women didn't get to vote that much back then, but as well, even further back, many men couldn't even vote either. Only had certain people who own properties and so on who were able to vote as well. So it's kind of been a progress, evolution happening there. So I don't really know about the first wave myself that much either, but definitely the second and third has been has been very crazy. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And I think yeah, there was actually, you mentioned you mentioned all of the modern feminists complaining about everything. I was just reminded by a old back when the first wave feminism was going on. They had a have you seen the cartoon called The Fainting Feminist? I think it was. Have like an old cartoon thing where they just fainting about nothing, and so they even mocked feminists, the first wave feminists back then, I believe. But yeah, I don't know too much about the first wave. You probably know that a lot better than me. How is feminism in Slovenia compared to the West? Is feminism a thing there?
Oh no, it's completely different. That's why I wasn't making videos about it, because I lived before I moved to United States of America, because I was exposed to it, but in Slovenia, it's not as present as it is in the States. In Slovenia, at least the people I was surrounded all my life, mainly they just aim for a good job or a job and a family and the basics, and do something out of their life. So there isn't much room to see problems where there aren't any. Of course, it was still like impact of liberalism and feminism towards women who wanted free love, and that was like pretty much that was the biggest aspect that was spread around in Slovenia when I was growing up, was how many guys have you slept with, and that it was cool and that it was weird if you didn't, that it was something that was called freedom and liberation, and it was odd if you didn't do it, and everybody was just sleeping around and switching up their boyfriends, girlfriends, or not even in a relationship, and it was always like hard to keep up with it, and I always felt kind of a little bit out of place. I always felt like I was boring, or sometimes I would be called lame and stuff like that. So it was just like, I thought it was just like me, that something must be wrong with me. Apparently I was born all backwards. Apparently I was supposed to be doing that. It wasn't until later on when I started reading about it and, educating myself on history of feminism and society and culture, that I realized that I was like, oh, I see it now. Oh, I understand. There's nothing wrong with me. That's great. That was my happy moment. Yeah. But as far as like it's in in the States, when women take off work to go protest for rights they already have, it's not that bad at all.
Yeah, no, it definitely seems like Eastern Europe is a lot less feminist than Western Europe. And I mean, you talked about, what's your thoughts on kind of traditionalism and those kind of things? Because really the opposite of feminism is kind of traditionalism. What's your thoughts on that? Is that too much to the right, or do you prefer to be more in the center?
I think feminism attacked that a lot. I think it destroyed the traditional family structure. I think a lot of bad things start happening when, I mean, don't get me wrong. Yes, women, I guess it's going to sound really, really bad. But, single motherhood became a thing and became very, very popular, and something that you should be doing, and, not necessarily thinking of a kid that much. And not that they can't provide. It's just like a family structure should supposed to be a family for a reason. You need influence from, both genders. You need influence from two people. It's hard to grow up and shape yourself as a person if you just have one parent. And if that's, if the other parent dies or something like that, and if it's absolutely not possible, then fine. But it is something that became very, something to boast about, and saying, oh, we don't need fathers anymore. We don't need man. I don't need a man. Da, 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 da. And I think that's not a good way to view family structure. So when it comes to that, I think especially shaming women to be full-time moms. I think that's one of the, I'm so disgusted when I see that, when I see people, oh, you're just a mom. Like, what did you ever do with your life?
Well, isn't that
Are you
supposed?
kidding me?
Well, I thought the feminists were all for women making their own choice and deciding their own life, but apparently not if you don't want to be a mother, then it's not.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like, it's fine if you want a career. Then, you know, I think it's time and place for everything. There's no rush to have a kid by the time you're, you know, I don't know, when you're not, if you're not ready to have a kid, you don't get a kid. But if you want career and a baby, you should just, like, you know, combine to have one thing first and then the second thing. You can't have both, because, you know, then kids are being raised by nannies, are being raised by other people, not their mothers, and the fathers, they feel detached from their parents. They grow up to not listen, not obey. They have problem with authorities. Then we have more criminals, blah, 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 blah. It's all like a chain reaction.
Yeah, no, and also one thing that I really thought about when it comes to this single mother thing, that's being pushed quite a lot in Sweden. That's a big thing in Sweden, you know, single mothers and so on. And the thing with that is then they become very dependent on the socialist big state supporting them. You know, they have to send the kids into school all day so that the mother can go out to work, and you know, and they get dependent on welfare benefits from the socialist state. So I think that's it's really an aspect. It's really a consequence and a feature of the socialist state, in my opinion. And you know, if you send the kids into public school all day long, they kind of get, especially in Sweden, with the schools being the way the schools are, they really get brainwashed into being good little socialists growing up. So I think that's probably maybe even a part of the agenda, that they kind of want this. I don't know, but yeah. And I also saw quite an interesting article here yesterday on a Daily Mail, talking about, well, we're talking about the topic of traditionalism. It says that women in the UK, more and more women are undergoing a virginity restoration operation to kind of they kind of regret not being traditional and sleeping around and so on, and they have operations to try and restore virginity. I think it kind of shows how this modern feminist doctrine really is destructive to a lot of people.
I think it's very damaging to sleep around when it comes to women. And I have friends from all, like, political spectrums. I have some feminist friends, and we stay away from politics because we just end up fucking fighting. So, but like, we still hang out and we still try to get along. But like, sometimes you can just see their philosophy, and then me trying to be like, yo, but, you know, just think about what's best. Do you really want that? Just think about it. Do you really think that's a good idea? Like, nobody's judging you, but just maybe no. And yeah, I think it's like psychologically, and there have been studies like psychologically, it's very dangerous for women to be having multiple partners. It's very hard to get attached to a person later on, you know, when you are ready for a serious relationship, if you've let so many people so close, you know. I don't know how do people do it anyway, because
it will be the same for men as well, I would think. Yeah, shall we move on to a different, a little different topic, if you don't mind?
Sure.
Why do you think? Oh no, hang on. I just have a little list here. I think I already asked that question. Sorry. What's your general thoughts on Sweden, seeing the situation that we have? I'm from Sweden. I've been reporting on the stuff. USA, another European. How do you see the situation in Sweden? What's your thoughts on the future for Sweden and maybe Europe as well?
I think Sweden is like, we all know that like Sweden is the country that does the most unreal stuff that you can, when you're reading, you don't know if it's true, if you should believe it, or if it's a troll writing the article. I think everything went a little too far over there. Same as in Germany, like things are out of control. However, if you ask the general population, just because of how media is blocking out the true information and the reality, I think the general population still believes that everything is okay. But due to the fact that more and more people are waking up, I think the future for Europe and Sweden in general can be really bright if people are just, people just open their eyes and start voting for people who will not let stuff like that happen again. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think it's the reason Sweden is the way Sweden is the people have, well, the people get the politicians that they deserve. If they vote for certain kind of politicians, they will get them, and then they will face the consequences of that. I think so. If Swedish people start changing their minds, then anything is possible. And I think I see quite a lot more and more of that. I mean, the anti-migration party, Swedish Democrats, are polling very good. So I think more and more Swedish people are beginning to feel, shall we say, cheated on by the socialist government. So hopefully, I think we might see some change in Sweden. I'm not sure. It depends on how many brainwashed people there are. And it's quite there's too many of them still. I think that's for sure.
Yeah, people like to think and vote with their feelings, and it's like, yeah, those poor people, but what will happen to them? Yeah, fine, but what about you? What about the people around you? What about the people who live there, were born there, have families over there? What about them? It's like you can't save everybody, and then you gotta decide. Always, politics is always like somebody's gonna get screwed. You just have to decide who. That's all politics is.
Yeah. And regarding politics, what is your opinion on Trump? Love him or hate him?
In between. I'm very fascinated how people are freaking out if somebody's wearing a hat that says "Make America Great Again." I love it when people are just like, oh! But yeah, when he was running for president, he promised a lot of good things, some bad things. And during his presidency, he's done some good stuff and some not so good stuff. And there are times I think he constantly is balancing. He does something that is just like, why? And then he does something good and you're like, yay. But can't love him, can't hate him. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Would you describe yourself as a centrist, or how would you describe yourself?
That is always so hard to answer because I have influences from all specters. So I don't know, right wing. I'm more towards right wing than I'm like left or centrist, especially due to migration. I have very, very strong feelings about immigration and feminism, so I would say I'm more right wing.
Okay, yeah. No, it's my opinions on Trump. I was actually quite a big supporter of Trump during the 2016 election. He's done some bad things. He's done quite a lot of good things, in my opinion. I kind of don't. Yeah, there's been a few things. If we had followed his campaign election all the way through, then I would think he did a lot of good things. So the campaign Trump, I would kind of be a big fan of, but.
He still has like a lot of years to live up to his promises, so I'm still like giving him his chance. And I noticed that a lot of things that he does, the good stuff, is not being reported anywhere. So you really need to like dig through an article, through a highlighted word, to click on an article to get to information and be like, what? Yeah, what? The media will always be like, oh, he's trying to get rid of all the immigrants. No, you dumbass. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. Duh.
Well, and the funniest thing of all, I think, was when the media were freaking out that Trump would start nuclear war with North Korea with his tweets.
That's my favorite, yeah.
And then 1 month later, He ends the Korean War.
Yeah. Plot twist.
Like, what do you think? Should he get the Nobel Peace Prize? I mean, Obama got the Nobel Peace Prize for merely becoming the first black president. Should Trump?
I know, right? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know too much about the other candidates for the prize, or like too much like what the criteria is. So I'm afraid to answer. Maybe if I read up on it more and like to see what kind of achievements they are putting up for him to be qualified, then maybe I can make a decision and answer. But right now, who knows?
But I would love it if he gets a Nobel Peace Prize. You can just
that'd be great.
You can just imagine the absolute tsunami of salt coming your way from the media and from all of the liberals. It's just going to be absolutely hilarious. I mean,
yeah, I think California itself is gonna eat itself alive. It'd be wonderful.
It's just going to melt.
Yeah, just like no.
And I would love it because I'm here in Norway, so I would just go there I would be there at the Nobel Peace Prize ceremony thing, and it would have all Antifa and so on rioting. It'd be glorious to just watch the outrage.
Oh, what a timeline!
Yeah, it would be incredible. By the way, I just want to read. Do you mind if I just read a quick super chat here? Someone had in the chat here. His Candy Leon. Thank you so much. He writes in Swedish. Thank you for everything, Peter. I love Sweden and the USA. God bless. Thank you so much for that super chat. And if anyone has any questions, by the way, for Barbara, or any questions at all, please use the chat, and we will take up any good ones if I see them here. Yeah, how long do you want to go on, Barbara? I know you need to go a little bit later. How long do you want to do this stream?
Sorry.
How long do you want to go on with this stream? I know we have to go later. I have a few more questions, if you don't mind.
Yeah, it's fine. Like I still have like 15 more minutes before I have to get ready and skedaddle.
Yeah. And should we try and aim for maybe an hour then, total for the stream? So 10 more minutes should be fine. Excellent. Yeah, so how do you think... oh, sorry, I think I already asked that question. Let me see here. Just 1 second. Yes. What do you think about this? I'll go a little bit back to feminism again. What do you think about this so-called patriarchy that feminists talk about all the time? Do you think that exists? Is there really kind of a patriarchy controlling the whole world, as the feminists say? Or is that
not in the countries that I've lived so far? And I lived in first world countries. I don't think it is in Saudi Arabia in those in Middle East, but I don't think it is in the United States of America or Europe. I've never seen any man get paid more because they are a man. And if anything, I usually got paid more because I was there for longer and got more skills or education or qualified more. So I don't know what they're talking about over there. But I don't think, you get what you deserve and what you work for. So if men are in a high position, yes, some are born into it, but so are some women. But it's a lot of hard work and a lot of like those positions that aren't technically being covered by females, and everybody has a problem with that, is because it's a lot of sacrifice, long hours, a lot of things that you need to give up in order to climb up. I don't know where this mentality that men are just born with everything on a silver platter comes from. It doesn't work that way. You still have to work hard. So I don't know. And just like, if you want more women in STEM, go in STEM, you know, but they will never complain, ooh, there's not enough roof fixers, women roof fixers. There's not enough, you know, fisher women, or not enough women at the oil rig, you know, any place where it's dangerous and you can die.
Do you know what you need? Do you know what we need? We need more women garbage collectors, and we need more women building skyscrapers up 1,000 meters in there. We need more of that. I approve.
Exactly. You know what was the funniest thing? When it was a day without a woman that was in United States on I think it was last year or some this year or last year, a day without a woman where all women were boycotting their workplaces, whatever, took the streets to say how life would change if they don't show up for work, blah, blah, blah. First of all, none of them got in trouble. So how privileged are you to just drop out of work and just go protest on the street one day? Well, good for you. But what's more funny is that all that day, because I went to the rallies, I've seen male bus drivers driving them around. I've seen male traffic officers directing traffic because streets were closed. Male police officers guarding them. And then garbage men to pick up the trash they left behind. And I'm like, you literally proved the entire world the men are still better.
It's really funny how all of the tough work is left to the men still. Yeah, I don't know. They don't want equality there. They want. It's just so funny. And they still go on with this. They still go on and on with this so-called gender pay gap. It's just a myth that never seems to die. I mean,
I don't know. Oh my God, I still cringe every time I see, and I truly just want to believe that it only exists on Tumblr, but it doesn't. It's everywhere. Oh, you don't know how it's like to be paid 12 cents less than men, and I'm just like, are you really? Because that's, from what I've heard, illegal. So what up?
Yeah, it was actually from the UK yesterday. There was a new article out saying that the government might prosecute hundreds of companies for not publishing reports on the gender pay gap. So there is actually a thing in the UK where the government is now, apparently there is officially a gender pay gap, and they are forcing companies to publish reports on the so-called gender pay gap, how much they supposedly pay men more than women. And this is officially from the government, and if they don't do this, they're now actually, and there's hundreds of these companies that haven't done it, so the government's looking out to go after these companies for not doing this. So it's officially making its way into European policy in European countries now.
I don't know why they're wasting time on that, because even if they do publish reports, you have to take everything case by case. The person A, woman, work in the same amount of hours than person B. How much vacation time did they take? How much overtime? What's their qualifications? What's their resume like? What is their education like? What is their workplace before this workplace? Like, how long were they employed in this company? It all based on that. Like, you can't compare just men and women and then, ooh, he's making more. Yeah, maybe because he was there for 25 years and you were there for 2.
That's the thing. It seems like these feminists haven't learned math very well.
Yeah. Oh no, math and them though.
It's just like they see, they kind of take a woman, that's just a intern or something. She earns, I don't know what, $10 an hour, say, and then they have a man that is the boss, and he earns $500 an hour, and they say, yeah, this is a huge difference here. It's not equal. And they're like, okay, yeah, there's a difference here. The maths, and that's why you see articles now where they're coming out with like, math is a white supremacist construct or something. I don't know. I remember seeing that somewhere.
It's awesome to be white. You have all this privilege that you don't even know you have. I mean, it must be awesome. Woo!
Yeah, I mean, what do you think about white privilege? Is that a big thing in America? They don't talk too much about that in Norway, where I'm here now. They talk a bit. It's not even a huge thing in Sweden either, actually. But it's it in the UK. Is that a huge thing in America? Does everyone go around thinking there's like white privilege or something?
Yeah, it's like America is one big white privilege and white supremacy, if you ask everybody, especially because that's why Trump got elected, because
Oh,
white
yeah.
supremacists have so much power and because white women voted for Trump. So that's why it shows that white women are way worse than black women, because they clearly want supremacy and they have internalized patriarchy in themselves. But yeah, in America, everything is about race. Literally, but not about race. It is about black and white. Like there are no other, it seems like there are no other races than black or white. And every day there is something new that is racist. Every day it's something new that is endangering people of color, or that this happened because this person was white, or, you know, this bad thing happened to this person because they're black. It's all about that. You can't escape it. Like I went to an art school. Oh my God, no. Who do you think it's only on the internet and then you're around those people? And I literally had a teacher who, we were sitting in a classroom and there was like 6 black people. They were all guys and 5 of them served in the military, you know. They were veterans. And the rest of us, like 12, were white. And he started every class to ask them how were they oppressed that day, to tell their stories before school. And the class started like 8 a.m. So like, how were you oppressed today? Share your stories. What happened as a black person? And like, usually it was only one person, the one who wasn't in the military, speaking. And the rest of them were like, dude, I literally had like bombs dropping on me, and like I was shot at for 5 years in Afghanistan. I think I'm cool here. They were just like looking at him. I'm okay. It's so ridiculous.
It sounds insane. I'm glad I didn't go to any of these universities. I'm glad I skipped university, to be honest. I might have ended up a brainwashed SJW if I went. I don't know.
Yeah. People always ask me, how do you survive in LA? And I always say I don't socialize ever.
Yeah, I might imagine it might be hard.
Yeah.
There are probably not that many like-minded people around.
Yeah, and I just don't talk about politics outside of my room.
Yeah, otherwise you're gonna get a stone through your window, maybe.
Ooh, yeah. People get heated up here, man. Even men, like, whoo. We'll punch a girl over politics, trust me. So I just keep silent.
Doesn't sound good at all. I have a question here. A guy who calls himself Lad the Viking Lad asks if Barbara can say anything in Slovenian.
Oh, okay. I don't know. What should I say?
I don't know. He just said say something in Slovenian.
Okay. Oh God, I'm brain dead. I'm trying to come up with a witty sentence. I can't come up with anything witty, so I'm gonna say, to je skodelica kave, ki mi da energijo. So I said, this is a cup of coffee and it gives me energy.
Oh, okay. That was interesting language. Quite different. Very different from Swedish. That's for sure. It sounds nice language. It's nice language. I like the kind of Eastern European accents. They sound nice.
Yeah, I love Slovenian. It's such a beautiful language. It's so much easier to, like, I write also poetry and short stories. So it's so much easier to write in Slovenian because you have all these words to describe something in such more descriptive and, poetic way with Slovenian language. It's just, I love Slovenian poetry. It's just, if people have never read it, they should try it. Learn Slovenian just so you can read poetry. I'm telling you, it's the best thing.
Yeah, might have to look into that. Vlad here, he seems happy here. He's posting love hearts now. And someone wants me to speak Norwegian in the chat as well. I don't know. I cannot speak Norwegian that well, so I'm probably going to skip on that one. Yeah, I have another question here, if you don't mind, for you, Barbara. Candy asks, how do you feel about California and Senator Pan trying to push common sense kids and taking kids away from parents who will not indoctrinate them? Is that anything you know about?
What? Can you repeat the question?
She asks, how do you feel about California and Senator Pan trying to push common sense kids and taking kids away from parents who will not indoctrinate them? I haven't heard anything about that, so I don't know if that's anything you've heard about.
Is that some? Yeah, I'm really confused here. Is that like considering universities, or?
I am not sure. If Candy wants to clarify that question, that would be appreciated in the chat.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about that question, so yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little hazy on that too.
Yeah.
Maybe they were talking about Berkeley. I don't know.
Seems like something. It seems like something about homeschooling or something. Is my impression of that question. I'm not 100% sure if they're trying to make homeschooling illegal in California. I don't know.
Wow, am I living under a rock?
I don't know if it's anything that's real or not, but I just thought it might be interesting to see if you knew anything. I'm just googling it quickly. I cannot find anything. Let's see quickly. I don't think there is anything about.
Yeah, I'm vigorously searching too. I'm so confused.
It looks like California is attacking homeschoolers. Vaccine agenda. State homeschooling regulation under a microscope. Let's see. Yeah, it's something that the Senator Pan in California is looking to restrict homeschooling for whatever reason. Yeah.
That would be weird, because if I ever have kids, I'm homeschooling them, and I'm not putting them in these public universities where they teach them crap.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a good idea, but then it should never come to Sweden then, because homeschooling is completely illegal in Sweden. It's completely banned. It's completely banned.
That's ridiculous, because like Berkeley, California is heavily liberal, but like especially Berkeley. Like I was only on a train once to Berkeley, and I could pinpoint which people are gonna get off at that stop, at Berkeley University stop, and I was right for every single one of them, because it's literally I know that like the clips have surfaced when Latino kids and people of color demanded extension on their tests and like extension on their due dates, because they feel so threatened by, I think because Milo visited the campus or something, and there were riots because of that, and they felt so threatened and so afraid for their life for a week that they cannot take that test that day, and they just stormed in the classroom while people were taking tests and were demanding that they don't take the test that day, disrupting everybody else in the classroom. And it's just like,
so they're freaking out about a gay Jewish guy speaking at university. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. That's what the Nazis did as well. They freaked out about that too. So yeah, I know you have to. I think you have to go now soon. Do you want to wrap this up, or what do you think?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to go in like 20 minutes. I mean, leave my house, so I have like 5 minutes to wrap it up.
Okay, yeah, excellent. Yeah, Candy here, by the way, in the chat said that yes, it had to do with homeschooling. So it is the senator in California looking to start to restrict homeschooling. Apparently, that was the issue there with the question. So yeah, that's not good.
That's not good. If that, I don't think it's gonna. I don't know. Like the governor elections are going pretty good, and like the Conservative Party is winning. So I'm pretty sure that things are gonna start twisting around. Considering that all the debates so far, the conservative parties have been winning. So things might change around pretty soon. In California, if we have finally a governor that is, right wing, I think it's gonna bring a lot of changes from what I heard in his promises. One of them is also taxes, which are, what the hell? Here, taxes are gonna almost kill me this year, man.
Is a tax? How is a tax in California? Is that high?
I think it's like 17%.
Okay, well, that's nothing.
On your income, or even more if you're self-employed.
Do you want to come to Sweden and try the taxes out in Sweden? Do you want to try that?
No,
because
thanks.
the taxes in Sweden, they are very, very high. Do you know, according to the Swedish bank Swedbank, an average person who earns $3,000 a month in Sweden, so this is an average person, if you earn $3,000 a month, when you have paid all of your total taxes, you're left with about $1,000. So you earn $3,000, you pay $2,000 in tax. That's a high tax rate, and that's all of the tax in total. So yeah, it's very high tax in Sweden. It actually goes all the way up to what, 75% or something if you earn a lot of money. If you earn a lot of money.
Fuck.
So
yeah, that's real bad. That is bad.
So
I thought it was bad here when I found out how much I owe in taxes, because we don't pay like, you know, monthly. It's all like in the end, and then just bam, all savings gone.
Yeah, taxes suck. They suck even more in Sweden.
Yeah, I imagine. Yeah.
That's the socialist welfare state. It's supposed to go to give you like really good health care, supposedly, but 30,000 Swedish patients actually have to wait more than 90 days for an operation, even with this high tax. So you would have expected a lot better, but it's not working out well because all of the money is going to migration.
Of course, yeah.
Billions
naturally,
to migration.
Fuck citizens. Who cares about them?
There was this. I think you did a video about this. There was this guy in Sweden, a migrant. He had 3 wives, and he.
Oh yeah. He gets paid per wife. Yeah.
He got 3 houses for free by the government.
Yeah, and he also gets monthly per wife.
Yes.
I think like 400 euros per wife.
Yes.
And that doesn't even include kids, and he has kids as well.
And he's got more houses now because he moved from one place to another place in Sweden now. So he's in a new place. He got 3 new houses in his new place as well.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I mean, there's lots of young Swedish people who don't have a house, who live at home with parents. I mean, they could do it a free house. They could do it a free house, but no. They have got to go to the migrants, of course.
Literally, like some parts of Europe, it is luxury to have a family, to like create a family of your own. Because like most people, like especially like also in Slovenia, most people can't afford to have a family. You know, they're like, I can't have a child. Like we live in a like 10 square meters of a place with my husband. Where am I gonna put the kid? It's insane.
Yeah, no, they definitely seem to disincentivize people from family and more into work.
Yeah.
There's a guy here in the chat asking me what's the sales tax, the VAT in Sweden, and that's at 25%, if anyone wants to know. I don't know, is there any like sales tax in America or VAT? So
it's different on a state.
Let's see. Yeah, it probably differs from state to state, I would guess.
Yeah, it is state to state. Sales tax is 7.25%.
7.25. And in Sweden we have 25%. So that's on top of the already high tax that you pay.
Damn.
So yeah, you kind of realize how expensive everything is in Sweden. Like petrol is like for 1 liter of petrol you pay about let's see, what's it in dollars? You pay about like $2 a liter per petrol almost in Sweden.
So okay, so that would be $8 per gallon. Wow! Here it's like $3. $3 the most per gallon. The hell?
Yeah, so you can understand why people want it. Yeah, why it's a bad idea with all these taxes.
Yeah, I'm not moving there. I made up my mind.
Yeah, not a good idea. I think we should maybe start to wrap this up now. What do you think? I think it's been a good chat, and people in the chat really seem to enjoy it. And I want to thank you so much. What do you think? Should we wrap this up?
Yeah, because I already am getting calls.
Yeah, excellent. So we'll wrap this up here then. So I want to thank you so much for coming, Barbara. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Finally, we made it.
Yeah, yeah, we've been trying to do this stream a long time, but it didn't want to happen.
Yeah.
But finally it happened, and yes, I want to thank you so much for coming, and I'll leave the links to your YouTube and Twitter in the comments below so people can find you and follow you. Make sure to find her and follow her on the YouTube and Twitter. She's doing good, very good YouTube videos about stuff happening in Europe and in the world. So make sure to follow her and subscribe to her. And yeah, is there anything else you want to say before we wrap this up?
No, I think it was a good conversation. It was good. It was good. It was good chatting.
Yeah, I think so too. So yeah, thank you so much for coming, and maybe hopefully we can have you on some other time as well if you want. Excellent. And everyone watching, make sure to hit the like button. That helps give the videos more views, and share this video on social media. And yeah, we'll end this here. Thank you, guys.